Well, alrighty. So it seems that the tides might be turning in 2024, as it were, right now, as we are getting a movie that has followed all other patterns of Hollywood in time past as a result of Hollywood being creatively bankrupt by going to the past and digging up some IP and remaking it and presenting it to us as something that is new. So Twisters is a movie that is hitting the theaters really soon, and it is a remake or a reboot of the original movie Twister, without the S, right? It's a totally different movie from the original one that we had in 1996. Totally unrelated. Why? Because they put an S in front of the name of the movie. So it's a totally different movie, right? But in any case, you guys, the reason why this movie is actually making the news right now and is trending, as it were, is because of what the director has come out to say. The director says, yes, we're making a movie about natural disasters. It has everything to do with weather. However, we're not going to be preaching about climate change. And this is making the media absolutely livid. I mean, a movie that is actually more focused on trying to entertain people and give people thrill and escapism rather than messaging. How preposterous.
How dare you?
So you get a Hollywood Reporter come out with this. Twister's director not mentioning climate change. Movies shouldn't preach a message. You also get CNN, even the legacy media, get in on the act saying you won't hear about climate change in Twisters, and here's why. And so has BuzzFeed, Yahoo, and the rest of them saying things like there's a reason why Twisters doesn't address climate change, even though it's a movie about extreme weather. So let's get into this, see all they have to say. I'm going to give my response to many of the things that they have to say because unbeknownst to a lot of you, I am a qualified renewable energy engineer, right? And so I know a thing or two about this stuff. And there's a reason why I am not practicing that. But in any case, you guys, let's dive into this. I'm going to share my opinion as we go along. Feel free to share your opinion in the comment section below. Without further ado, here we go. Director Lee Isaac Chung on why meteorological disaster movie doesn't reference global warming. So the storm chasing sequel Twisters is racking up positive reviews, currently at 84% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and continues a much needed summer of Glen Powell. Now, what is happening at Rotten Tomatoes now regarding this particular movie is something that if it was happening from the audience side, we would be told that it is review bombing. A few hours after I read this thing, that 84% fresh had dropped after this particular, article came out, and many of these other articles that I showed you came out. It started to drop from 84% to 80%. And let's just go and refresh and check it right now where it is. It is on 78%. So you can see that the critics are rushing in there to go and review bomb it. This goes to show that many a times, the movies that the critics are pretending to hate, they actually love these movies. And those woke ass movies that they are pretending to love, or series that they are giving 94%, 88% fresh, and so on and so forth, they actually don't like it. But once they get the signals on what to like and what not to like, they will go and either positively review bomb or negatively review bomb it. That's just my opinion. The film chronicles an unprecedented outbreak of violent storms that tear through the American heartlands and has characters spouted plenty of meteorological jargons. So you're calling it jargons now because they are not talking about climate change. However, if they were, you would have said they were talking about some meteorological scientific backing of climate change. I'm sure that's how they would have fashioned that. But the one thing Twisters doesn't have, a reference to climate change. Why should it? Is the climate change the reference you want? Is it backed by science? Is it actually backed by science? Now, they go on to say, this is rather surprising. The possible impact of the climate change on tornadoes is complicated and still being figured out. So why do you want them to add it when they haven't yet figured it out? They haven't yet confirmed whether it is our activities, whether it's oil and gas, fossil fuel, or whatever that is causing this increase in tornadoes or not. And it's not like the tornadoes are actually increasing. It's just that more of them are occurring in the same period of time. But the total number of tornadoes that are happening yearly, especially maybe in the Midwest, in America, so on and so forth, is still the same amount. It's still the same number. It's not increasing in the number of times that it is happening. So with more tornadoes happening on the same day and more tornadoes happening outside of Tornado Alley, even if the number of tornado overall is unchanged, it's unchanged. You've just confirmed that it's unchanged. So what is the problem? The numbers is not increasing. It's just happening in a lot more frequent time than it used to. And in any case, the American Red Cross recently told ABC News that the climate crisis is forcing the American Red Cross to respond to nearly twice as many large disasters as we did a year ago. Now, fine. Yes, we agree that might be happening and so on and so forth. And there might be some more scientific things that needs to be included into this. But is there any true confirmation that we are the ones that are causing it and that you need to push this message rather than actually entertain people, because that's what we are going to the movies for? Well, what does science say about climate change? Well, I found this particular article that I had found when I was studying in school back in the days. And I just want to show you guys where the history of this whole climate change thing came up. Because when I was a kid and I was watching this documentary by Al Gore kept on talking about global warming and how the things that we were doing was contributing to global warming. However, there is a reason why it changed. And here is the reason right here. Let me show you this article right here. Many climate change scientists do not agree that global warming is happening. So let's jump right into this. It says, whether most scientists outside climatology believe that global warming is happening is less relevant than whether the climatologists do. The climatologists who are experts, there were 60 climatologists in America who are the leading top climatologists in America, and 50 of them signed a letter signed by over 50 leading members of the American Meteorological Society warned about the policies promoted by environmental pressure groups. It's not warning about the global warming. It's warning about the policies that are being pushed by this environmentalist group. Quote, the policies initiative derived from highly uncertain scientific theories. They are based on the unsupported assumption that catastrophic global warming follows from the burning of fossil fuels and requires immediate action. We do not agree. Those who have signed the letter represent the overwhelming majority of the climate change scientists in the United States, of whom there are about 60. McMichael and Haynes, so 50 out of 60 or over 50 out of 60 signed this, right? But you pay attention to the minority over the majority. Some Democratic there, right? Very, very Democratic. McMichael and Haynes quote that 1995 report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is widely believed to be proof that climate change is induced by a human occurred. The origin draft document did not say this. The original draft document did not say this. It didn't say it, which became the take-home message for politicians. So people like your Al Gores and so on and so forth, they started to push this. These are the politicians that took these things and they started to push this messaging. So you can see, you can go ahead and read this for yourself. You can go and read this for yourself, and you can find out that in reality, the so-called climate change is more or less a political agenda than actually them chasing after making true changes to save the earth. Not only that, the reason why they stopped calling it global warming, there is another article that I want to show you guys here, is because of the fact that people started finding out that this whole thing was more or less a propaganda, if this goddamn thing would show. People started finding out that this thing was more or less a propaganda. Now, here's this little article here about so-called global warming, and Washington Post tries to mask the real information inside of this article, just so that if you have convictions that the earth is getting warm and it's because of climate change, and you read this, you will just gloss over it and not even bother. It says, will global warming make temperatures less deadly? Well, let's dive into some information right here, because in most places, the temperature is often too cold than too hot, right? In most places. So that means the earth isn't globally warming, right? Which helps explain why more than 90% of temperature-related deaths were from cold, according to the Lancet study. On every continent, cold death surpasses heat deaths, 90% to 10. Yet, you still get people like Greta Thunberg and many of these people coming out to say, how dare you? Like, seriously. So, can you blame this guy now, the director himself, for not actually adhering to this? Because even this from CNN actually admits to this particular information that I just gave you, that this is fact. Because when they asked him about it, when they asked the director, Lee Isaac, right? I don't really know him. So, but basically when they asked him, this is what he had to say. He said, I just want to make sure that with the movie, we don't ever feel like it is putting forward any message. Director Lee Isaac Chung explained in an interview with CNN, "I just don't feel like films are meant to be message-oriented." Now, CNN admits to this, saying, to his credit, there is some scientific justification, which I just read to you guys. I just read it to you. Scientific justification for the omission is not some scientific justification. It's basically scientific justification, right? Too much. Generally, scientists are the least certain about the connection between tornadoes and climate change, as it's unclear how warming temperatures are changing storms themselves or the outbreak. However, they still go to criticize him that he still needs to mention it and so on and so forth. So there we are, people. Here we are at where messaging is now taking precedence when it comes to Hollywood than actually trying to entertain us or even factually educate us. They don't care about trying to educate us anymore. It is just such a crazy time that we are living in, that back in the days, we used to go to the movies to escape reality. However, now we have to rely on reality to escape reality. Crazy times, insane, eh? But these are my thoughts regarding this. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. Ding that bell for notification, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care, peace, and Sayaz out. Bye-bye.